Hey guys, so right now I'd like to talk about not sweating the small stuff. Now, this is something, going back to cliche being something that should be taken very serious. I mean, there's things, cliches are cliche for a reason. They work. There's something to pay attention to. So, and I see don't sweat the small stuff definitely as a cliche thing. Now, when it comes to dealing with issues, especially in early recovery, or people who don't have addictions, just trying to live this life in recovery, who, I'm trying to focus on connecting to as well, just thinking about the best way to deal with all the issues we have. A lot of times we have a bunch of issues just overwhelming us right away because we've used drugs and alcohol or just unhealthy ways to deal with them before. So now we need to figure out how to deal with them. So, of course, when we get into these stages of dealing with issues, we have really big issues. This could be like making big amends to somebody, getting a new car, just different like big goals, to be able to do, gaining long-term sobriety, stuff like that. In order to do that, we need to first deal with all of the little things. Because if we think about it as like, say it's going like into battle, if you're in a video game, say there's a big boss, but there's 100 little, people you got to get through. We can't really focus on the big issue if we have 100 little things, which is never 100, it's always a lot less than we expect it to be, coming at us, just attacking us, little by little, but with so many things that really takes us all the way down. So we need to take out all of the little things, and a lot of that is just coping skills. Saying, this, just like if someone's like irritating you, how do we deal with that? Because those little irritations can build up so much and cause so many issues. So we have to think about how to deal with all of those little issues. We deal with those first. How do we cope with it? Do we take a step back and take a breath? Do we leave the room? Do we have a list of, say there's a list of pros and cons in a notebook. We can sit, how do we deal with these? Another big one is the help and hinder that I've mentioned before. Before we act on something, we ask ourselves, is this something that's going to help or hinder the situation? Are my next actions going to help or hinder? Drill that in your brains, take a step back, and be honest with yourself. Because sometimes we'll say, oh, it's going to help, but it'll really just cause a little more issues. So we need to be honest about that. So focus on how to deal with those little things, the help and hinder, the pros and cons, and ask yourself, is this really worth getting upset about? Most of the time the answer is no. I mean, we are the only people who have the ability to decide what someone says makes us feel. So keep that in mind. Help and hinder, pros and cons. Is this really worth it? No. And just kind of go from there. Deal with all those little things. If we can cope with those little things, then we can just rock the one day at a time, as long as we can. Then the big things don't seem as serious. So think about this, take it to heart. This is really important, and this should be one of the main things to focus on. So take that into mind. You guys have a great day, and don't sweat the small stuff. All right, see ya.